All right, let's talk about a revolution. But not one that's happening in some far off, distant future. No, this is unfolding right now on our roads. This is the story of how artificial intelligence is completely taking over the car industry. And you know what? It all kicked off with just one single announcement. It really all started with a single press release from a legacy automaker. I mean, one announcement that signaled there was no turning back. That was the moment when the race for the future of the automobile officially hit the gas. And this is the number that just shook the entire industry. The Japanese giant Nissan came out and declared that a staggering 90% of its future cars would be powered by advanced AI driving tech. Now, this wasn't just some new feature. This was a complete, fundamental shift in their entire philosophy. Yeah, that one move set off a total chain reaction. All of a sudden, every major car company had to show their cards. And what we're seeing now, it's not just regular competition. It's this high-stakes battle of ideas, of technology, and of strategy to decide who is going to define the future of driving. So, who are the key titans in this new race? Well, we're going to break down the game plans of four of the biggest players: Nissan, Tesla, Mercedes, and BMW. And here's the thing, each one has a completely unique philosophy for how they're going to win, and you might be surprised by just how different their approaches really are. Let's start with the company that basically fired the starting gun, Nissan. What they're doing is a classic strategic pivot, a really bold decision to completely overhaul their identity, focusing on innovation and quality instead of just pure volume. And if you look at this, you can see just how radical that shift is. I mean, check out the numbers. Nissan is cutting its global models by nearly 20%. They're trading quantity for quality, and they're pouring all those freed up resources into their AI drive system. This system uses this powerful trio of sensors. You've got cameras, which are like the car's eyes, LiDAR, which uses invisible lasers to build a super precise 3D map of the world, and then deep neural nets, which is the AI brain that puts it all together. It's a real shift from trying to be everywhere to being the absolute best where it matters most. Okay, now let's contrast that with Tesla. While other companies are totally reorganizing their product lines, Tesla is just continuing down its own path as the software maverick. They are relentlessly improving the systems they already have, with a philosophy that puts code and data above everything else. And this number right here, it's a perfect example of their strategy. 20%. That's how much faster their system's reaction speed got in a single software update, version 14.3. But honestly, the real story isn't the number, it's how they did it. See, they didn't add any new hardware. They actually rewrote the code's foundation using something called MLAR. Let me try an analogy. Think of the car's AI as an engine. Well, the compiler is the factory that builds that engine. By redesigning the factory itself, Tesla can now build a much faster, more efficient engine. It's a pure software advantage that they can send out to millions of cars overnight with just a simple download. Now, for a totally different approach, let's look at Mercedes-Benz. We'll call them the cautious pioneer. Instead of just racing to roll out the most advanced tech, they decided to win the legal race first. Their focus was on getting regulatory approval before anything else. And this really shows you the game-changing results of that strategy. You see, most systems today, like Tesla's, are what we call level 2. That just means the tech helps you out, but you, the driver, are always legally responsible. But Mercedes' Drive Pilot is the first legally approved level 3 system in many parts of the US. And what that means is, under certain conditions, the car is in control. And if there's a crash, the car maker is on the hook. This is so much more than a technical upgrade. It's a revolutionary shift in legal liability. Okay, so our fourth titan, BMW, well, they're playing a whole different ballgame. Their main focus isn't really on the car driving itself, but on how you talk to the car's AI. They're betting that the next big frontier is the conversation between the human and the machine. And here's what that actually looks like. BMW is integrating large language models, and yep, that's the same core tech behind tools like ChatGPT, directly into the car's voice assistant. This creates a true conversational partner. So you don't just give it commands like, call mom. You can have a real dialogue. The AI understands context, it anticipates what you might need, and it goes from being just a simple tool to a genuine co-pilot. So you've got these four very different strategies, and they're all built on a fundamental disagreement about the technology itself. And this is where it gets really juicy. It all comes down to this great debate that's splitting the entire industry. To get to true self-driving, does a car need lasers, or can it get there with just eyes? This quote from Elon Musk pretty much sums up one side of the argument perfectly. Tesla's whole philosophy is this: since we humans drive with just our two eyes, a smart enough AI should be able to do the same thing with cameras. They argue the real challenge isn't the hardware, it's creating an AI brain that's powerful enough. But, when you actually break it down, it's not quite that simple. As you can see here, the vision-only approach is definitely cheaper. But look at the trade-offs. LiDAR, which uses those lasers to measure distance, it works perfectly in total darkness or heavy fog, and it provides this critical redundancy, a backup plan if the cameras fail. And that is why companies like Nissan and Mercedes argue that it's absolutely non-negotiable for safety, and, crucially, for getting that legal sign-off for Level 3. Of course, this whole race isn't just about the tech inside the car. All of these companies are slamming into the same major roadblocks, really complex legal, ethical, and privacy hurdles that are honestly just as challenging as the engineering itself. And this brings us to that classic ethical nightmare that everyone knows as the trolley problem. I mean, when an AI is driving, it might have just milliseconds to make a choice that a human driver could never even process. It's a philosophical question that has suddenly become a very, very real engineering problem. And what this creates is a totally impossible marketing and legal situation. I mean, think about it. There's no right answer. If a car maker programs the car to save the person inside, they face public outrage. If they program it to save the pedestrian, well, who's going to buy a car that's designed to sacrifice them? This is exactly why you will never hear a car company answer this question directly. Instead, they just pour all their resources into one goal: making the technology so good that this choice never, ever has to be made in the first place. But even with all these challenges, the race is speeding up. Why? Because the prize at the finish line isn't just about selling more cars. It's about getting a piece of a multi-billion-dollar transformation of our entire economy. Just look at these numbers. The global market for AI in cars is projected to more than triple by 2030. We're talking about it climbing from over $4 billion to nearly $15 billion. That kind of explosive growth is exactly why the competition is so incredibly fierce right now. Everybody is fighting for a slice of that pie. And this timeline shows just how fast this is all going to happen. Right now, we're in what you could call the transition period. But by 2028, you can expect a full-on tech explosion as these Level 3 systems become pretty common. And by 2030, we're entering a whole new era where Level 4 autonomy, that's when the car can drive itself completely in certain areas with no human backup needed, starts to become widespread. And that Level 4 capability, that's the real game changer. I mean, just imagine your car dropping you off at work and then going off to park itself, or maybe even operating as a ride-hailing car while you're in a meeting. That's the ultimate goal that everyone is racing towards. So what this all means is that this isn't just about cars getting a little bit smarter. This is about, well, everything changing. Our relationship with ownership, the layout of our cities, the entire insurance industry, the fundamental rules of how we get around are being rewritten from the ground up. The future of mobility isn't some science fiction dream anymore. It's here, and it's accelerating every single day. The question really isn't if this revolution is going to happen, it's when. So the final thought I'll leave you with is, when will you get in?